the 29th of June, 2022. Thanks for tuning in to my official YouTube channel. Make sure to go to my website, www.susanbling.com, which is the same as www.ladydoribelle.com. Make sure to subscribe to my official YouTube channel, like my official YouTube videos, and if you're going to leave a comment, have etiquette and respect. So, I have been called all sorts of names, not usually positive ones though. And when I say names, I don't just translate to the aspects of what I'm known as, such as Susan or Susan Bling, or yes, even Lady Doribelle, and a bunch of other nicknames. However, the aspects of actual compliments, no, that's not something I've had the luxury of. I've usually been called, well, all sorts of names that wouldn't be remotely close to what would ever be considered as a compliment. Usually in comparison to what would be considered as what I would view being a compliment, I've dealt with everything except, including hesitations, which a hesitation in comparison to getting things done in a swift and correct manner, that's a different capacity as to the viewpoints of. And that's my personal opinion. I've had a few experiences as to that because of the way it's viewed. And so while some might think whatever they might think, it's one of those, there are certain factors as to those particular considerations. And so I've dealt with a lot, is one way to put it. And so I do the best that I can despite quite a few factors, quite a few. And so when I went to go take care of what I've needed to go take care of, it's one of those, well, you know, when I go to take care of what I need to go take care of, well, hesitations don't show that preference in that regard. And so, well, it depends on what some people might actually think as to their interpretations in comparison. So, I've been called lazy before, and I'm not even talking about recently as to, because that hasn't been a more recent factor, though in the regards of. So I'll give a few references. One, I had literally, so for those who know the property size to the house I grew up in New Jersey and where the Olympic size pool had been, which is where my dogs were, I would have to take a pitcher of water, or sometimes 2 pitchers of water per dog, and then the food. And my biological mother, which take in consideration as to who claimed this, because if I took less than 5 minutes to go and take the water out and back, and that includes getting the water pitcher, filling it up with water, then taking the water pitcher out to the dogs, to pour the water for the dogs, and get back to the house. If I took longer than 5 minutes, she considered me lazy. Yet, as to the hypothetical in the comparison of, and so there's one example. So for those who don't know the size of the property, it was the size of a football field. So the house, the back, I had to go downstairs, so, and there wasn't a railing, because if there was a railing, that would be safety. It's common sense. And so in those references, I went to go take care of that. That's one particular point in time. I'll give a more recent-ish example when I had not contacted her after a certain point in time in September. So basically around the time frame of the 20th or so, my now dead ex-husband had informed me that he had dealt with a phone call from my biological mother saying that she called me lazy and a few other words because of what she thought. Now, for those who don't know, in the time frame of the 20th of September, which would be 9 days after the attacks on the World Trade Center, World Trade Center Plaza, field in Pennsylvania, the Pentagon, and then all of the areas of the airports that had to take care of stuff, and so on and so forth. So at this point in time, I was in the hospital at Wilford Home with my infant son who had a temperature. I still had that subarachnoid hemorrhage in the frontal lobe of my brain. And I literally had delivered my son on the 2nd of September, so just 18 days before that. And while I was taking care of my infant son, and while I was dealing with the subarachnoid hemorrhage in the frontal lobe of my brain, while I was dealing with headaches, while I was dealing with migraines, and so on and so forth, in a where I was, then I also had people who would come into the room and show me information that I had to assess the details of, make suggestions. I had other people who showed up with paperwork that I went through the details of, looked over certain, the majority of pictures were not really black and white, though the closest reference I can give, a more recent video I have uploaded to my official YouTube channel. That would be about the quality of picture and or video footage that I had been shown to the comparison of this um, video as far as my official YouTube channel. And so that type of graininess in comparison to the clarity and so on and so forth when I was in Wilford Hall. Regarding individuals who came into my room to speak with me, usually what they did was they knocked on the door, and then I'd go to the, if I could, I'd go to the door, or I'd just say, well, come in. And then usually the televisions, as far as that was concerned, and all those factors. And so I was making suggestions where I could, um, giving some ideas as to the factors of more recent discussion I had. I had informed some guys about some high schools in a certain area in Northward that would have goggles that would be capable to assist. They wouldn't have masks, though they would possibly have gloves, and some situations to those particular factors. And so if those individuals were not in the room, which usually if they were in the room and my now dead ex-husband showed up, they would leave. They did not speak with him. They didn't want to speak with him. They didn't need to speak with him. The knowledge that I was born and raised in New Jersey, and even though they knew the fact that I had a head injury, and the tech sergeant that had lived in the apartment complex at the time, and those factors that I've explained in person, face-to-face in person, though also other writing aspects. And now, additionally, the official YouTube channel videos. Those particular factors. And so when I was informed that I was called lazy. It was one of those, it was ironic. My son, who was an infant, he had started crying. First he started making noise at the moment that my now dead ex-husband had started. There was just sort of for those who understand baby. And then when it was said that my biological mother had called me lazy, you're so smart. You really are. You're so smart. You're so smart. Yes, you are. And so, and the irony, I had put the binky in his mouth, so it's a little green binky for the, I don't remember what it's called, the specific brand, but it's a circular um, binky. It was made out of silicone, and it had a little tab on the end, on the other side of it, but you could stick your finger inside of it, and I was just like, this is smart, this is smart. You're my little handsome, aren't you? And then my now dead ex-husband started talking more about my biological mother, and he pushed the baby. Yeah, you're so smart. You're so smart. I'm gonna handle it. It's okay. And then you. Ooh. Yes, you understand me. I know you do. Ooh. He's such a good boy. Same thing with my daughter. Same thing in a different capacity. You're so smart. Yes, you are. Because anytime certain things were brought up, my daughter would just be, as far as my biological, yeah, he's so smart. Ooh. My little goober. So it was as it was, but yeah, I dealt with that a few times, and then, in comparison, so then the year of 2001 went up to Illinois, and those particular situations. So I had mailed the Christmas packet presents up to the area. They were already wrapped and all that stuff. And what you would call it, the Christmas went the way it did. And it was just one of those, yeah, so see you in a year. Bye. Not really, bye. And so it was cool with my biological father. And then there was my biological mother and my biological little sister. So all of the situations as far as that was concerned. Well, there was a point in time when I was walking around Crystal Lake, Illinois, after driving to a location, and somebody had recognized me and then got upset because I didn't remember them. And so I explained the after effects of my head injury, and they thought, and this is something that I've dealt with, well, that's no excuse. How can't you remember me? Where did I know you from, is what I asked. And their response was, well, I saw you walking somewhere in Crystal Lake South. So you saw me, but did I see you? And they were like, no. And so then I dealt with that. It's one of those, so I didn't see you, but you expect me to remember you. Why? And they just threw a tantrum as far as I was concerned. The irony, despite how the justice of the peace situation, there were there were points and times where my now dead ex-husband was like, you should have given me a warning as to how fucked up that area was. And it's like, mean, and then I dealt with conversations because, you know. Anyway, so it was as it was at the time, and it was just one of those, it's not my fault that, don't blame me for how they are. Don't do that. Don't do that. I won't, I won't deal with that. No. Don't blame me for what other people have done as far as that's concerned. So he met my biological mother's sister and second husband, or half sister and second husband. And it was, why didn't you warn me of what type of person he was? I told you he had, and so anybody who's ever, you know, ever, oh no, it's not that bad, and then you didn't warn me enough. Don't blame me for these factors. Don't, especially knowing at that time I still had a subarachnoid hemorrhage in the frontal lobe of my brain. Do not blame me for that. It was literally a year and a half, maybe, being awake from my coma. Seriously. So, you know, then there was the year of 2002, and so, you know, went through a few things, and my biological mother had this dog named Dakota, and I had to defend my son and my daughter from this dog named Dakota, which is an irony as to how my son and I, after the Cowboys dance hall, it was a Dodge Dakota truck, as far as that was concerned, which is an irony as to the individual at the Stony LaRue concert Cowboys dance hall. Irony of ironies. And so, and there's that. And so I made every attempt to explain things, and you know, my biological mother had complained that I had cared about my infant daughter, she was 3 months old, and cared about my 1.5-year-old son more than I cared about her dog. They were her grandchildren, mind you, but she had the nerve to actually. This was actually such a huge. You'd think that there'd be something actually important, which my son and my daughter are, but you'd think that if anything, it would actually be that. So she she got upset because I actually had the nerve, and I'm going to do an impersonation. And anybody who's met my biological mother, you know how this goes. Susan, you really truthfully need to take in consideration this dog. It's a rescue dog. It's a rescue dog. And Dakota is a peekaboo, okay? You have had the nerve to think about your infant daughter. Yeah, you say she's an infant. Okay, what makes her an infant? My response, well, she's 3 months old. This dog is a dog. Yes, and my daughter's a human being. That's my response. If anybody who's anybody, my biological little sister, Susan, why are you being so mean to Dakota? What's wrong with you? How could you actually be so mean to my dog, Dakota? Yeah, compared to your niece and nephew, you dumb bitch. I'm dumb bitch, okay? You're just so mean to my dog, Dakota. This is how this went. Why did I pack all of this stuff after a certain point in time? I'm out of here. I don't want to have anything to do. I will deal with being in the airport in comparison to being near you. Go away, sort of thing. You know, because it just was that bad. My biological father is the only one that calms me down as far as, so I'll get to that. So this went on for about almost a week. Okay, almost a week. And so, of course, whenever Mike was around, anybody who's ever had this, you know how it goes. For those who don't, it's literally the same. You just wait till your father gets home. And so, in a different capacity. capacity than my official YouTube video beforehand. Make sure to like that and share the links. And so, for several days, it was like 6 days or so. And so my now dead ex-husband was all, well, she could be correct. Oh, could be. And so Anna was all, Susan, if you would just actually think in comparison to being so lazy, if you would just think about what it takes to take care of a dog compared to you being so selfish, this is the actual way it went, by the way. Anybody who knows, you know. If you would just think about that, your daughter, she's however many months old, whatever. And your son, well, he's over a year old, okay? Dakota is a dog that hasn't had I am protecting Dakota. I hate you and I won't ever have anything to do with you so long as I can. Stay out of my life permanently. Don't ever involve yourself. If you are going to prefer your dog in comparison to me as your daughter, in comparison to my son as your grandson, and in comparison to my daughter as your granddaughter, you don't ever need to have anything to do with any of us ever again. And so we went back and forth. Then how could you not see how important my dog is? My dog is so important. I'm your biological daughter. Get that through your thick skull. You are such a waste of an existence. I am just going to make an example out of you. My biological mother started crying, and anybody who's seen this, so she had the kitchen table, it was like an octagon shape, and it had like this floral freaking tablecloth, but it wasn't a cloth and everything. She's, I can't believe that you would actually care about your son and your daughter more than my pet dog. Anybody who mind you, my biological little sister. Yeah, Susan, I mean, seriously, how selfish could you actually be? You should really take in consideration, it's just a little dog. So then, by this point, day 3, if you don't keep your stupid dog away from my son and my daughter, I'm going to hurt it. I don't care. And so what I did initially was pick up the dog, shut the sliding door, put up the baby gate, and put the dog inside the kitchen. My biological mother and biological little sister would open it. What's the big deal? You know what? Fuck you. We would go back and forth. I didn't want to have anything to, it literally was this bad. And anybody who's known since then, if you associate yourself with my biological mother and or my biological little sister, don't ever cause any needless problems to me at all. I do not have patience for you. We will not ever get along. We will not be friends. Just so you know. If you choose that type of whatever, do not cause me any needless problems. Amen. And so these situations were as they were. So by day 5, I have given enough warnings. My son and my daughter had been bit and all that sort of stuff had actually bled. And at that point, that was the end of it. Instead of picking the dog up, I picked it up by the scruff of its neck and threw it into the kitchen. Because it was ridiculous at that point. Biological mother, how could you be so mean? That's how dogs handle dogs. They literally grab them by this and then they put them in an area. Do not pretend you don't know that. Oh, the dog is so sad. So then, when I caught the dog biting, I kicked that dog. Because it was it got to that point. And it took, it was day 6. Day 6, where I'm done with you. Done. That is it. And then for I looked at my biological mother square in her eyes. I disown you permanently. My biological mother, how could you? No. No. You have caused me needless problems. Accept this fact. My biological little sister. Susan, you're totally so overreacting. How could you seriously overreact that way? Like, your dog, like, you don't understand. You're like a dog, okay? You, like, have Chinese zodiac. Shouldn't you, like, totally get along with Dakota? I hate you and I disown you as well. My biological little sister. You don't know anything about me, so you can't disown me. You are so immature. I hope that anything you do from this point forward comes back to you threefold at minimum. So if you want to be intelligent, keep that in mind. Threefold minimum. So at that point, I go down to not the basement, but the den area, and I start packing everything. I got my suitcase packed. I am done. I don't ever want to see these people again. Don't ever want to have anything. There is nothing that can salvage this. And then my biological father walks in. And James gets up, Grandpa, Grandpa. And so then, it was as it was. And then Mike just hears, and Anna, and then my biological little sister, and you know, please do leave a comment if you know these individuals as to how accurate since then, whether or not they've changed. If they have not changed as far as that's concerned, well, just think they were younger at that time. And so I'm packing everything. I don't care. My now dead ex-husband's just like, do we really? Yes! I am not dealing with this any further whatsoever. No, it's over. Let it go. And so Mike just walks in and he's like, hey, what's going on? I'm home. That's what he walked into. And so Anna is crying in the kitchen and Patricia's up, Dad, you know this, Dad. Okay, Dad, you don't know. Dad, like, Susan is being so mean. She's like totally so overreacting. Like, Dad, and then I got, and then I got. And so, anybody who knows. This is why, Millers, they didn't want me to be introduced to you, because I tell you the truth. That's why. And so, I'm going to totally get all of my friends to do stuff. You're going to lead them down the path of destruction and chaos, and they're not going to be capable to salvage themselves unless I save them. You don't know anything about you. I don't challenge you. Don't tell me how to say. And so, my biological little sister, and anybody. So anyway, so my biological father, Mike, he's just like, what's going on? What? Why? What happened? So Jason just, cookie. He goes and reaches in his shirt pocket and he's like, here you go, here's some Oreo cookie. My daughter's doing tummy time down in that area and stuff like that. James slowly starts toddling down the stairs. That's my locker, come here. And Mike is just like, what's going on? Anna is just, sort of, and again, anybody who knows. So then, I go back to packing, and Mike just sees the clothes, like, arranged and everything like that, and I am packing. I am ready to go. I'm done, like, it's not a joke, this is not a drill, this is real. So, I got my clothes out on the floor so that way I can pack them, because I'm not staying. Like, I'm not dealing with this at all. It's unacceptable. There's nothing you can do to no, 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 no. No. Hasn't been any comfort at all, not dealing with it. And so clothes are on the floor, all that stuff. I'm ready to go. I got the suitcases lined up. And it's just as simple as that. And so I'm not dealing with it. Mike is just like, so why are you packing? Because I'm leaving. I am not dealing with this. And so he's like, okay, and he looks at Anna, and, he's accustomed to her doing that. And he looks at Patricia, and he's accustomed to her doing that. He sees my now dead ex-husband, and he's like, bitches be bitches. Mike looks at me, and he's like, did you just call her a bitch? And, my now dead ex-husband, which one? And he was just, did you just call Susan a bitch? And he's like, whatever, bitches be bitches. And Mike was like, I'll deal with you in a minute. My son, I got cookie. Yes, you're my little goober, handsome man. Cookie, Grandpa, cookie! So Mike, he starts walking down the stairs and he's like, cigarette? Fine, that's fine. I can have a cigarette, So I bring my son and my daughter upstairs, and they're just, Lydia does, she's on her tummy doing tummy time, for those who understand infant stuff. She's got her little toys. James has got his little toy and stuff like that. And I go out and I'm like, I will get you better when we get back, because that is just for this area. There's much better than that toy. And so walk out to the backyard, and I have my cigarettes. Mike smoked Pall Mall no filter at that time. I'm like, you know what? Give me one of those. And he was like, don't you want to smoke one of your Marlboros right now? No. I need no filter. I need the most amount of nicotine. Now, mind you, what I would do is, because of being a smoker, I knew how to, because I was breast pumping at that time. So I pumped the milk, and if I smoked a cigarette, I would do certain things so that way my daughter didn't get that. And so and it would usually be a pump and dump, which, not that there was ever any worry about that, because it was 9 ounces each side every 2 hours. And so there was plenty of breast milk as far as I was concerned. And so, but it had to be done a certain way, otherwise it was as it was. And so anyway, I go outside, and I just, for those who know how Pall Mall or any no-filter cigarette, I just go, and like half the cigarette was gone. And Mike looked at me and he's like, so you might be a bit angry. What would give you that idea? He was like, well, you were packing and putting the clothes in the suitcase, and Anna's crying. Good. I'm glad she's crying. I hope she cries. I hope it hurts her so damn bad. I hope there's a day where everything just collapses in on her, so that way she actually realizes everything that she has done incorrectly throughout her entire existence. Because I am tired of dealing with this needless crap. Oh, and this is just in the year 2002. as to all this sort of stuff, so on and so forth. And then, Patricia, I hope the same. And Mike was just, do you want to calm down? I am calm. And he was like, well, what makes you think you're calm? Am I having a cohesive sentence that you can translate in your thoughts as to the words that I am speaking clearly? And he just, yeah, then I'm calm. I am quite aware of what I know. Do not make the mistake just because of what your viewpoints might be. Keep that in mind. If I am capable of formulating a cohesive sentence when speaking, there is no excuse to anybody at all ever, in any capacity, to make a mistake. And if they need clarification, they can ask me. So since you asked me, I am quite clear as to my rage regarding those. This is the end of the line. I will not tolerate this at all. Accept that. Mike was just, okay, so you're upset. Okay, and do you think we can talk about why? You're married to one, and two, as to the irony of the crappy shit that Patricia is going to be if you fucking allow her to continue being similar to Anna. That's just the facts. And then three, that stupid little dog, Dakota. So then he's like, okay, well, what's the situation? I explain what occurred, and he goes, well, why didn't you? When he went to go sit, I put the sliding door up and the damn baby gate up. Your fucking stupid wife fucking goes and opens the door instead of ever being intelligent. This is how stupid and ignorant your fucking wife is. Fuck Anna, she's not my fucking mother, she's an egg donator, and that's it. She won't ever be anything more to me. And so long as you associate with her, I will call you a sperm donor because I will not tolerate this garbage. Mike was just, do you think that that's a little mean? Not if you do every detail. Even if you were to only know 1/4 or 1/5 of the actualities of what I dealt with, you could not argue at all. You would have to agree at some point in time that those two bitches are exactly as you said girls are. All they do is bitch. They do nothing worthwhile except bitch. And so they need to get out of the way for people who don't bitch, actually get shit done correctly, and do not hesitate, because those types of little bitches are exactly that. They're just little bitches, nothing more. And so long as they continue to do that way, they will only be that, and they won't ever accomplish or achieve anything worthwhile in their entire existence up to the point when they realize to stop being little bitches. Mike, sitting down on the stoop in the backyard, he just, so you did like everything that you, this has been going on for this many days, went on the whole thing, and he was just, here's another cigarette, and I'm going to go inside and see what's going on. Anna was still crying, which anybody who's dealt with that knows how long that can go on. You wonder why I can talk so much, maybe, listening to my official YouTube video stuff. I grew up with that, so I'd rather utilize words in comparison to that's where that is. That lets you know. That lets you know the difference. No, if I can formulate sentences, I'm It doesn't matter. Anybody, I might have confusion or whatever, but that doesn't change the fact that I can still formulate a sentence. And if I can formulate more than one sentence, then obviously. So, regarding my biological mother and biological little sister. So then, I smoke that cigarette. I go through about, I think I went through like 5 to 10 cigarettes in the backyard. I'm just so enraged. So enraged. My biological father comes back outside. So what you had arranged is going to occur. And I was like, what do you translate that to? He said, so the fence, that baby gate, is going to be kept up. And as long as James and Lydia are running around, Dakota will be kept away and locked up in the area. As to the sliding door will remain shut. The gate will be kept closed, and only after James and Lydia are doing whatever, as long as they're not running around or doing whatever, they're in bed and sleeping, Dakota will not be allowed out at all ever again. Good. 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 And so then I was like, you gonna make him apologize? And Mike was like, what? I was like, oh no, they have to apologize. And he was like, well, that part we didn't discuss. Well, I'm just letting you know. They have to take, there is the reality. They have to take accountability for their stupidity. And Mike was like, is that enough of a starting point? I was like, there will be the point in time. I will accept that part, and this is back in 2002. They ever do anything ever again, ever at all, this will not be this simple. Understand that. And Mike was just, okay, just making it clear. Just making it clear. And so only because of that, I started unpacking and all that. And Anna was just, so thank you, Anna. No, I don't want to see your face right now. Don't want to act like because it was literally, it is no. Get to Stefan, bitch. And because she was literally on the stairs, and so, but like, can't we? No, Let me fucking unpack in comparison to fucking just you are such an annoyance regarding that. But I wanted to. I don't care what you want. Back off. And so she went back up the stairs, continued crying and all that crap. And when you stop crying like a stupid little bitch, I might be willing to speak with you. So long as you're as an over fucking emotional, over fucking dramatic, stupid fucking twat, I'm not going to waste my time with you. And so then my biological little sister, Susan, you are just so lazy. At that point, my son and my daughter, they wake up. Ah! And it's like, that's right, you tell her. She's not your Aunt Patty. She's just biologically related to you and nothing more. She'll have to prove whether or not she can be an aunt. Otherwise, she can be a different type of aunt. One that gets crushed beneath my shoes. My biological little sister was all, whatever, you're so stupid, Susan. I will crush you if I have to. But we're totally family. No. Actual family does not stir up needless drama. Actual family actually cares about the best interests. Not in that capacity, in the correct capacity. Because your needless drama garbage is exactly that. There is no need for that because there's a saying. There's no honor amongst thieves, so no, we're not family. Keep that in mind. You're biologically related to me, and that is a sad fact that I have to unfortunately acknowledge. My biological little sister fell on the stairs, started crying. Yeah, you Anybody who's dealt with it. So she continued babbling and crying and all that stuff, and the lack of cohesive sentences after that, and just have can I just is there a capacity to just relax at all? And so, then my biological mother, you're so lazy. And I got clothes on the floor, and it's like, I am. So I go down to the basement, because it's like, I don't even want to deal with this. So I go down to the basement, I light up a few cigarettes. At the same time, I literally had 3 cigarettes lit. I was that pissed. This is a different level of being lit. So I had 3 cigarettes, 3 Marlboro Red cigarettes to be specific, okay? I put all 3 in my mouth, I lit all 3, and is there a way to get more nicotine at one point in time? This is just, and so I'm literally one-handed, just, you don't understand, this is just I can't, I just can't. My biological father comes out of the garage area, and it's like, oh, you go and hide, but what? He goes, do you actually have 3 cigarettes in your hand right now? I'm about to get 2 more once these go out because they're burning unevenly, so, my biological father was like, so Anna pissed you off some more, didn't she? Yeah, you know what? Probably wouldn't smoke as much if she didn't piss me off so bad. And then the same thing with your stupid twat bitch, Patricia. And so, either that or I gotta find something better to smoke because this is not strong enough right now. Period, and end of story. My biological father was just like, what do you mean? I don't know. I'm ready to kind of is there a bigger piece of paper to you remember Joe Zach? You remember him? And he's like, yeah. He used to smoke these things that kind of ish smelled like nicotine, but not. And I'm ready for one of those. I am ready to just, have a whole I don't know. And he's like, it's a cigar, whatever. Just and inhale and just, yeah, this is great. This is finally enough nicotine in comparison to that stupid twat because I don't need her assistance in shit. All she has ever been is a needless problem, and I won't ever get along with her. The more involved, the worse my attitude, because I am not ever going to back down on that. That bitch needs to just accept the fact of staying the fuck out of my life. And Mike was just, so you don't like your mother? No. Same thing with Patricia, by the way. And anyone that wants to try to mitigate on their behalf. Unless they got paper, when it comes to money, I don't want to ever have anything to do with them again. That is something they will have to accept. Period, and end of story. They do anything at all, it's gonna add up. And each hesitation as to each delay, just keep adding paper to that. Because I don't ever want to deal with them again. There is nothing that they will ever be capable to salvage. And Mike was just, but family, not them. Not at all. Nope. Which the situation regarding Linda and Phil, I wouldn't be surprised if that was because of Anna. And her stupidity regarding that, as far as other things, but that's my opinion. So the rest of the week went the way it did, and my biological mother was like, so, before we take you to the airport, you ready to, I won't ever see you again. Like, I'm not coming back to Illinois after this. Just accept that fact. I'm not coming back. You had one chance as far as to just do the correct thing. I'm not coming back. It's over. You fucked up. So then, 2003, when that's when they moved from Illinois to Texas. And it was, when they showed up, one of the discussions was, you only moved because I wasn't coming back to Illinois. And she was, yeah, well, there's going to be a point in time, I'm telling you right now, there's going to be a point in time where I move, and I'm not going to want to be near you. Accept that. And so, it won't be. No. And this was in 2003. This is to that level in the year 2003, where it's like, you need to accept that fact. And so in the year 2004, because how difficult is it to take a 1.5-year-old and a 3-month-old through an airport? But 2 different airports, because one way and then back the other way. How difficult is that? I was called lazy. So then in the year 2004, my biological mother, who had absolutely no idea as to any of my work and didn't even understand that I'm the one and only sponsor, she actually was ignorant enough to think, she thought that because my now dead ex-husband had graduated basic training, that he was the sponsor with a pink ID card in comparison to my blue ID card. No, I'm the sponsor, bitch. I've always been the sponsor. My biological mother was like, what does a sponsor mean? None of your fucking business. Just as my stuff is none of your business. You involve yourself with my stuff, understand and comprehend you actually have no right to. If you do, I will bring hellfire to you. My biological mother, oh, he wouldn't do that to your mommy, dearest. Fuck what you heard. Yes, I will. Fuck what you heard. I will bring so much hellfire to you, you won't be capable to move. I will have you encircled with hellfire, where you're just like, which way do we go? No. Fuck what you heard. Fuck what you heard. My biological mother, you wouldn't do that to your mommy, dearest. The fuck I wouldn't. I'm letting you know right now. Accept that. My biological mother, you really, and your mommy, dearest. Bitch. This shit's no joke. Back that ass up, motherfucker. And so my biological mother, why do you have to be so aggressive? Remember, she showed up to my house without my invitation. She then goes and starts walking around my house in San Antonio, eating food out of my fridge, as far as that's concerned, and then has the nerve to be like, well, why are you so aggressive? Bitch, get the fuck out of my house. Bitch, stay out of my life. Bitch, just stop. I don't need you. I don't want you. Fucking accept it. Fucking, you have a limitation of what you are allowed as far as my life. If you overstep that bound, you will not ever pull me in. I will fucking fight you. Get back. My biological mother, you don't mean that. I'm just your mommy, dearest. I 100% translate that for you to yes. I don't ever want to have anything to do with you again. If you ever involve yourself in my life, I will fight back. Leave me alone. I have actual work to do. My biological mother goes and says, what work could you actually do? You didn't graduate basic training. Mind you, still dealing with that subarachnoid hemorrhage in the frontal lobe of my brain. She has no idea that I'm working with the Army. At all. Has no idea as far as as me working with the Air Force either, as far as this stuff is concerned. Has no idea. And she thinks that she has an in. No, gets a step in. And so then in 2005, the titty baby temper tantrum as far as that was concerned, and it was, I'm done with you. Like, so then in 2008, I moved. I go and I'm done. I don't want to have anything to do with you. My biological mother, then, as far as those situations, because of Carrollton, Texas, did you really have to move this far? Yes. Yes. Yes, I did. I actually told her in my house, I actually did have to move this far. You need to get the memo. Okay? I made this choice of my own free will. I am done with you. Accept that. I just don't want your type. Accept it. That is not helpful. That is not assistive. You're not doing anything correctly. Back up for people who actually can. Just accept the fact you can't. My biological mother, in my house in Carrollton, Texas, then goes, well, I see you got a car. Uh-huh. What about it? Zippy, I swear that I saw Zippy's tinted windows start tinting and getting dark. And it was, be cool, be cool, be cool. Be cool. Oh, Bumblebee, be cool. My biological mother, like, don't you want to tell me something? No, I don't want to tell you shit. Get the fuck out of my house. I don't want to have anything to do with you. You don't have what it takes. Period. My biological mother, right there, that's it. That's exactly it. Fucking, if you cry over the truth and you are upset because of the truth, you don't have what it takes. Period. My biological mother goes on, starts pointing to my car Zippy once again. And she said, but like, I don't care what you want. This is not an option. You don't get to. You know what, let me explain this to you, okay? Since you don't seem to understand. Now, mind you, I then remind her of Grandpa Gavitt. At this point in time, I start popping off. My dog Ganesh runs up. Fucking Ganesh goes and sits right next to me. Pops down and just, and it was, whoa, all of a sudden you grew a pair. About damn time, dog. Shit. About time. Freya, the other one, she runs up and she, that's right, bitches. That's right. That's right. Fucking both of them got their, go right. It's like, yeah, that's right. That's right. Fucking fuck what you heard. My biological mother still starts, just, you don't understand what it's like. Fuck you. And then she starts bringing up some shit as far as a Ring movie or something. As far as like some lore to something. And it's like, bitch, it's not the same. Then she starts going on, like Harry Potter. No, bitch, back off. Then she starts complaining and she's like, it's a transforming whatever. Fuck off, bitch. I don't like pop culture. Just in case that's been needed to be understood. And so she said, but like, I want to. So then she goes and says, we could take a drive in your car. No, bitch. My car don't want to have anything to do with you. Just accept that. So then she started crying. She goes to so the fence used to be about this high in one area along the driveway. She just goes, leans on the, I just really want to go. No, I don't want to drive. my Zippy with your bitch ass in it, because I'm gonna put the top down, I'm gonna fucking lean back, blast my music, and I know how Zippy will be. So, no! And she's like, why not? Because what you'll do when I speed up is you'll go, and no, I don't need you doing that in my car, bitch. And so she starts crying some more. No, no, I will drive your bitch ass in a van, but I will not drive you in Zippy. Zippy, my car goes, and it's like, that's right. So I got Ganesh right here, I got Freya right here. Zippy even just told you no. And my biologist, why are you loving me? Because you need to accept your spot. Where you stand is where you stand. You don't have what it takes. I'm going to tell Patricia on you. I don't care. She's with you automatically. She's not allowed. Zippy. Seconded. Get the memo. Ganesh, the dog that didn't say shit. Hardly ever would really, I mean, he would, but he didn't ever really talk. So then, Ganesh, he stands up. Doesn't really normally do that at that point. He just, you pissed off my dog. Anna, well, what's the thing? No. No, you pissed off my dog. My dog is a big dog. Bitch. It's my dog. Freya then stands up on all fours. You pissed off my other dog. Bitch. She's foaming at the mouth as far as this is concerned. And Anna's just, well, like, we could, no. You got a gate right there, step the fuck outside, go to your fucking car, and leave me the fuck alone. Don't ever fuck with my shit again, and accept that. Yeah, it's over. Let's get your father time with you. Oh, okay, go right ahead. Fucking Mike was in the living room or my library area. He steps out on the back patio and he's like, well, let's go. And I look at him like, you get a cup of coffee? He was like, yeah, I did. You want another, she's going to be in the car for a while. You might as well let her just sit in the car and cry for a while. You want a cigarette before you get in the car? You know what? That's a good idea. Yeah, you got a long drive, so, So, have another cup of coffee and everything like that. He's just, I can't believe she's such a stupid bitch. Yeah, well, I warned you. I gave you warnings. And so, so Ganesh and Freya, they sit down and it's like, okay, we'll sit at the patio table and stuff like that. We walk inside. They are lockstep. Like, fucking lockstep as far as these two. And it's like, it's okay, it's cool, be chill. Okay. And so, mind you, they didn't freaking flinch with me, popping off. They did at all. It was like, oh, that's good dog. Be good dogs. Because there's real shit in them. It is. And so Zippy just kind of, it's like, no, not right now. Mike was like, what was that? I was like, oh, that's just Zippy. And he's like, who's Zippy? I'm like, my car. You want to meet Zippy? And Mike's like, yeah, I guess Freya and Ganesh just lay down, and it's go out of the patio area because I had it enclosed with a screen. Go out to the back, and I'm like, this is Zippy. He's like, what is this? And I'm like, oh, it's my VW Beetle. It's my Bumblebee. And he was like, your what? I'm like, yeah, it's my Bumblebee. And he was just, you got a what? I got a Bumblebee. And he was just, and you named it what? Zippy. This is Zippy. Zippy goes and and Mike was just, where'd you get it? And so I told him what happened, and he was just, okay. Uh, so, so this is it. Yeah. So it went the way it did. Now I've already gone over a few examples as to different names. Now I will give you a different example. So Zippy will have attitudes every now and then. We got into a few and I don't want to say we got into arguments, but anybody who's driven a car, sometimes when certain things occur, well, Zippy had a little bit of an attitude at times. And so I went out to Florida. Took my son, my daughter, and my ex-sister-in-law's daughter, and niece, whatever, and stuff. I get back. So remember, it's about a week out in Georgia, then a week out in Florida. My work, as far as all the scuba diving stuff, driving back and forth, I'm the only one who drove. And I remember I went from Carrollton, Texas, out to Fort Worth, White Settlement area to pick up my niece, to then go back to my house, then go to Georgia, and then, the week there, and then to Florida, and all the way up and down Florida. Okay? Then, because of the situations regarding the scuba diving after that, and my ex-sister-in-law, Susan, I can't believe that you... I just don't have time for this. I just don't have patience for this. Like, just whatever. So then, deal with the aspects as to Alabama, then go through... the GPS went through Tennessee back to Texas. And it's just, no. I am... I go back and get to my house. I should say, go out to White Settlement, drop my niece off, and then go back to my house. And James and Lydia just, yay, we're home. And it's like, yeah. And as I pull in the neighborhood, I'm getting to the point where I'm like, yay, maybe I can relax. So I pull in the back area because of where my driveway was. And I see the back of Zippy. And as I pull in and get in the spot next to Zippy, mother... It's a different lingo, okay? Complete different lingo. It's like, I don't even know how to explain it. So then, I get my son and my daughter out of the car, and, the garage door opens and stuff like that, and I get them in the house, and then I unload the van, because that is as it is. Gonna take care of all that. Zippy had glitter eyelashes on her headlights, and the tail lights had the flower petal cover. So the flower petal covers, they were very dark. They were dark. Like, so in comparison to where you normally see the red, like as the normal, what have you, and the yellow and white, it got dark, and it was. So then I, have all these pieces of luggage essentially. I'm carrying them. I look over the eyelashes in comparison to, so what would be like my eyebrows? The eyelashes would be where my actual eyelashes are, and she's just. No, that's fine. So I've dealt. So anybody who's dealt with my biological father, you know how he can get angry. Again, childhood, teenage years. That's nice. You met him older and medicated. Remember, born and raised in New Jersey. 1980s, 1990s, 5 boroughs, in New York City, Pittsburgh, and Philadelphia, as far as Pennsylvania, for those types of whatever. All right? Dealt with all sorts of stuff as far as the backyard, biological mother and biological little sister, as far as that's concerned. The Army. Basic training. Okay? Now, mind you, I have some memories from my childhood regarding certain situations as to the backyard. And then I have memories from my childhood, some, in regards to the Atlantic area, the oceanic waters. So I don't really have the memory of certain words at those times. This is the year of 2009, okay? It's a whole other ball of wax to deal with that sort. And she was mad because I didn't take her to Florida. That was all it was. This little titty baby, temper tantrum, whiny ass little bitch fit. And it's one of those, I couldn't have this go on at that time. I couldn't have this go. I had actual work. I had this, I had this, I had this, I had this. I'm going down the gambit of the list. And so she just can't do it. I don't care. Don't care. I don't care. So finish unloading the van. Take all this other stuff in the house, start unpacking, start laundry, all that stuff. Get dinner started and all that. Look over as far as like what groceries I have to go to the store to get at that point, so on and so forth. Then, fix something to eat for James and Lydia and all that. And it's just okay, it's okay. So then I text who I was dating at the time, and I'm back in Texas, whatever. And not right now. This is 2009, this is 2022. Anyway, so this whole situation goes the way it is, and I'm exhausted. I'm just absolutely exhausted. I have done so much work. So then I go and take my son to the bathroom and daughter to the bathroom so that way they could get showered, cleaned up, get them dressed, read them, the books and stuff like that, and then, read them their individual books, tuck them into bed after prayer, and, the lovely hugs and kisses and all that, and then I'm like, all right. Then I go to my bathroom to actually have a shower because anybody who's been a mom or a single parent, you understand how that goes. Get cleaned up, get some clothes on, go through the hallway from my bedroom towards the main hallway to get to the patio, and I hear grab my cigarettes. Go out to the back patio, and I just hear a bunch of bitching. And Zippy, running her mouth, has all sorts of whatever. I have the fairies and dragons in my house going and throwing anybody who has ever had experiences with the Fae and or the dragons, however you want to put it, they are enraged. There are thousands of these spiritual beings, and they just, well, I guess you have the examples in a different capacity. It's just, is there a capacity to just chill? To just relax? Like, is there that capacity? Instead, I deal with all this. So I get a text message back from, at that time, who I was dating. And it was just, they went silent. The fuck? Well, later, this douchebag had the nerve to move some of my stuff around. Pissed off every fairy, every dragon in my house, every one of them, furiously enraged. And I can't, then I have I guess the closest that people can take into that viewpoint would be, so more recently there's been political events where the elected or whatever are, and people start rah rah rah, well, you know, comparison to a few viewpoints, but they have prettier words compared to some of and so I know how that might come across, though I have quite a few experiences as far as I've actually taken pictures of some in regards of my film photography. Those are some aspects of, and so that is what it is. So I can distinguish the difference because I know. Anyway, so when it comes to having been called all sorts of names, then there's scuba diving as far as what I dealt with. Then there's lifestyle aspects as far as what's supposed to be considered the consenting adult lifestyle, as far as that's concerned. And so it just went from there. And it's like, is there ever going to be a day where I can actually just enjoy my life? Is there ever going to be a day where I could just actually relax the way I know what actual like I've envisioned what relaxation would be. Is there ever going to be that? I have envisioned this. I have dreamt about this. And is there ever, like, how much longer can it just like hurry up already? This is ridiculous. This is beyond what I can tolerate any further. I cannot believe that this has gotten to the level that it has now in the year 2022. Mainly because of having been went through quite a few other factors. And so it's one of those because of, so in February of 2022 is the first time. Well, anybody who knows how New Jerseyans are, Pennsylvanians, and New Yorkers from the 1980s and 1990s. So there's the 11th of September 2001. And so I can see and view it. So I have that capacity. So finally make it up there to a location where I can actually see, well, I saw. So the closest I can explain is, yes, I had my nightmare from when I was in second grade. And yes, I could distinguish the physical buildings as far as that's concerned. I've put forward a few official YouTube videos and stuff like that. And I could actually see. So I went to Liberty Science Center night, February of 2022. This is just before, I think I had a dealer license plate at that point in time. And so the whole site, whole everything, as far as actually seeing everything, and hearing, both in reference to, so I described this to some as best as I could, and then I put it in writing. So on the day of 9/11, my nightmare, as far as certain things had kind of on the television screen, as far as my sight, not just my sight as to the television, though also, I think it's called spiritual sight, or there's a bunch of different references. And so I saw. That's the closest I could explain. So seeing, even though I know for a fact that I didn't physically see the towers, as far as it just went down one by one by one by one by one. Saw the Statue of Liberty, as far as then having the oceanic portions to those factors, and it was a lot to see. And so so I had every area, and so the plumes, there were multiple plumes of smoke, and it just combined in the sight, and as to all kind of in one, as to where, and then in sight it was just the sound of and then and screaming, and the airport, there were collisions, because well, those who don't know, in New Jersey there's an airport that faces New York City and the runway areas, and so a few more. And so I don't know if, and this is something I've been dealing with, I don't know if in reference to the pilots that took off during that day. I know I can see a few that took off. I don't know what airport that is, by the Liberty Science Center. I don't know if when they took off to go, if they just had seen when one had went in. And I don't know how trajectory, as far as those types of airplanes, though I could easily see how a few had panicked and flew. And I mean, there's pileups. And so, the way people, I don't know if others know how this goes, but they taxi around the runway, and before they go to take off, they only have a certain, it's like a car, but not. So they only have a certain amount of spaces to the windshield. And so I saw where the debris was falling, and from what would be my peripheral as to that site, where the airplanes went to go on a little hop, because there's a few airports, there are plenty of smaller and larger, and well, there are those situations where people have had, in comparison, because you can only do so much, and so there was a few more because of the plumes of smoke, which anybody that drives and has ever dealt with fog, you have a very clean idea in comparison. And so it still is a bit much to process at this point in time. So, the fact that I've had sight for so many years, or I should say decades, well, for some people, you might consider that a blessing. Maybe. Others, who some have some viewpoints, some have some experiences. That's a double-edged sword to see. And so, which is a bit of an irony. I had authored a fiction genre book series. I was just being creative. And I found the name of a female named Rose Fitzgerald Kennedy. I was just being creative. And if I remember correctly from what I authored, oh yeah, it's a blessing and a curse at the exact same time to be capable to see. Absolutely. So, but it is as it is. Something I've dealt with for years and decades as a child. I'd seen, even in reference to the 6th of January, 2021. So I've had this weird zapping in reference to one of the areas in my teeth, but more so in my jaw. And it's an annoyance to me. In every aspect of my pain level actually had increased from the time frame as to having that for clarification. And so, if in that hypothetical, as to in comparison to what would actually be considered as humane, because that's not humane, if accurate at all. Just pointing out my opinion on that. It's not humane, because that's not a human being doing so, as far as that's concerned. It's just not. And so, and definitely not my preference at all, whatsoever. Not a need of mine, not a want, not a desire at all, in any capacity. There's no, in the viewpoint I have, there's no appreciation. That's not out of respect at all, whatsoever. So, because especially with the additional pain, just pointing that out there. And so, those situations I had murmured, as I call it, because, it's not as though I've had certain aspects that would actually be of comfort to me, because that 100% uncomfortable, just for clarifications. And so, same kind of thing, completely uncomfortable. There's no comfort to that whatsoever. I don't view it as humane at all. Don't have any viewpoint where there's any appreciation to my actual work. I don't see it as humane or decent at all in any capacity. And I haven't. So I've tested this theory that if I was accurate, I'd notice a few things. And if I'm accurate, well then I suppose some people may have had some hurt feelings. Maybe it might almost have, if just in the hypothetical. So I don't usually talk about certain things for a reason. And so I don't find that appreciative of my actual work at all. Nobody who would actually appreciate me would ever do that. At all. Nobody that would be actually humane would do that. Because why would I ever believe in humanity at that point? At all. Why would I ever believe my work would actually be appreciated at all? And how would that ever be considered as consent? At all. So I don't have the need that some people might think because of their ignorance. And so I look forward to what I need to take care of. It's not for public aspects, for clarifications. So, no, in regards to certain aspects, it doesn't need to be a statement. For those who needlessly have involved themselves without my permission, without my consent, in any capacity of, because of what actual consent is. So I had this situation, this is the official time that everybody was out. I had went and murmured just as a, you know what, I just gonna make sure. I wonder if when the situations is to my house in Carrollton, and lo and behold, Eclipse Sapphire that weekend. Over. done. That was it. 100%. One after the other. You have the option to tell me the truth. Better tell me the truth. Better be respectful. Better have etiquette. This is not a test. I'm giving you your final warning. If this goes this way and this goes this way, I will know. But I won't say that out loud. And that was then in 2018. Done. So, but if accurate. So there's the modern day book in my book section of my website, www.susanneeling.com, which is the same as www.ladydoribell.com. And there's my journal blog, as far as the updates in the ornery PSA. And so I had murmured in the DC area, as far as that was concerned. And I didn't have anything to do with the capital area. I didn't even know that there was something that was the night before. I only knew about the 6th. And so I just went to that, but I had other reasons for myself. My consent for my stuff, not in any other capacity, because why would I ever believe anybody actually would care about me if you could actually speak with me in actual truth, but instead would think that that would be acceptable? What would ever be believable as to any human being that would think that would be acceptable instead? What amount of laziness would every individual actually be to the sight of? What would actually be to the level of such disgust and disgrace as far as each and every one, if I was accurate? But those were thoughts in 2018. And so in the 6th of January 2021, I murmured, well, it almost seems as though, and I hadn't spoken with anybody beforehand, it seems as though, and that shouldn't be a problem then with that knowledge. And so, in that hypothetical, I wasn't in a relationship then, and because of the only way I view an actual relationship. So that wouldn't ever be an individual that would ever actually want to be in a relationship with me, in my opinion. Because what would there ever be to actual respect? Common sense. So, just is as it is. So I don't have the need back in 2021 to speak with anyone because nobody spoke with me. And because nobody spoke with me in truth, well, I transferred, because why would I bother? If with every individual that I had reached out to by that point in time, they could have, but they chose not to. That was their failure. I wasn't going to waste my time. So they had the option back then, if I actually mattered, it would be done a certain way. I didn't put it in writing. I didn't, no. 2018, take in consideration 2019 regarding my updates, 2020 regarding my updates, 2021 regarding my updates, to this year 2022 regarding my updates through my journal blog, The Ornery PSA. a website, www.susanmeeling.com, which is the same as www.ladydoorbell.com. Go reread that. With that 2018 viewpoint of that. And so go reread that. Go think as to your choices in that hypothetical as far as this amount of time. I would believe that I was actually cared about in the correct capacities if I had an actual reason. But since I don't have an actual reason at all, I have my work. And that's just how it is. But since my son is biologically above the age of 18, just as my daughter is biologically above the age of 18, that's over. Done. I have work to do. Not any other factor up. That is not acceptable at all, whatsoever. And so, in those factors of, if accurate, regarding 2018, as to the solidifying point, I'd already had viewpoints before. Too many coinky-dinks. That was the final straw. So I had the updates to do because I needed to make sure for, where I was born and raised. I wasn't born and raised in the state of Texas. I re-grew up there. I had, at one point in time, in the year 2021, I had made that official YouTube video. And I still had other stuff to do, but those political types that I hate. I have no need for that at all when stuff actually has to be done correctly. I don't get into that don't let certain things fool you at all. And so when it came time for me to leave, it came time for me to leave. Any hesitation only reiterates those particular factors. Because I wouldn't ever believe after 2020 without certain aspects was to actual humanity. That, not humane. At all. So I don't have that need. I'm not tied down in that way because I'm not interested in a relationship that would ever be like that. And if in that capacity of, if the, wishful thoughts and feelings were hurt, well, good. I'm glad they were hurt. Because, that, well, you have no idea as far as the pain that causes me. Each second of each minute, of each hour, of each day, of each week, of each month, of each year. And so, I don't care about feelings after all these names that have been called. Hypothetically, in regards to a few other factors. So there's the modern day book. You can get it in the book section. My website, www.susanmeeling.com, which is the same as www.ladydoorbell.com. The links to purchase through Amazon regarding my books. And then there is my journal blog, The Ornery PSA. You might want to reread that regarding my journal blog on my website, www.susanmeeling.com, same as www.ladydorybell.com. Then there's my official YouTube channel. Subscribe to my official YouTube channel. Like my official YouTube videos. And if you're going to leave a comment, make sure to have etiquette and respect. You know. So, I've made attempts because of actually having maturity. Apparently, maybe, just maybe, I might be the one and only. In comparison to, those types. So, so I don't have the need regarding how some people think when it comes to my work. Legally, there's only certain things as far as that I need to take care of. I don't have any legal requirements to inform, especially after what occurred. So when I got back to the state of Texas, I had already sent Finding A and Finding B Silver Lining to my biological father. Instead of anybody actually doing anything correctly, I went and updated, clarified, verified, all that stuff, and there's the process of the timeline. Very much heard of law, the ornery PSA. 2021, I was done with everybody. I had my own work to do, and every individual that had caused any hesitation to my work, well, because of you, not knowing me, because of you causing me needless problems, because of you stirring up needless drama in comparison to being a human being, because human beings don't do that. Only people who don't have intellect do that. Only those who don't have common sense do that. And so, I would have been back before the filing date. I had already looked into it. But, individuals who didn't have any faith in me at all, in my viewpoint, caused me a bunch of needless problems. I would have had everything taken care of. But if anybody had thought that I wanted to be a part of some political crap as to the 20-year, what they would obviously view as an anniversary, no, you're not my people. Especially as many in the state of Texas who said, as they had, that was not your decision to make. So that's why I left. I'm not into politics. So remember, just because of the COVID situation, that's the only aspect as to the rallies. I have no need for it. I have no want for it. I have no desire for it, and I have no preference for it. So, when it came to the situations, I was done as soon as I went to DC because of other things that I looked at. So, I have more important things to do. And so the situations that occurred regarding making sure I got stuff taken care of correctly, I would have if those needless problems did not occur. Because of those needless problems, it's not the same. Obviously, because I didn't get the transfer in time to get my work done by the end of 2021. That's those individuals' faults. So all of those names that I've ever been falsely accused of, go ahead and reread that for yourself. Go look at who that actually would refer to instead, if in any capacity. And so, that's just the facts. So, privacy rights. People who didn't grow up in certain areas with that knowledge need to have that knowledge and accept that. Thank you for tuning in to my official YouTube channel. Make sure to subscribe to my actual official YouTube channel. Like my actual official YouTube videos, which is what has been in every aspect of. Go to my website, www.susanmeeling.com, which has always been the same as www.ladydoryville.com. Irony. Spouse to that one is the only one who said Dory. But, again, people who would actually care. If though, it's if factors. So I have other stuff that I actually need to take care of, and it has nothing to do with what's supposed to be considered the consenting adult lifestyle, because obviously I didn't consent to a few factors. I have other things to do that are far more important to me personally. And so I have work to do, whether some people believe it or not. Today is the 29th. Isn't that an irony? What does 9 and 2 have to do with anything? But today is the 29th of June in 2022. The 29th of June, 2022.